Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Wellness Wednesday. Today, we will be talking about sustainable motivation and finding gratitude. So, if you don't know us, we are from the Office of Health Promotion and Wellness. And what we do, what our office does, is we try to empower the DePaul community to embrace a healthy lifestyle by creating a culture of health and well being that fosters personal and academic success. So we collaborate with a lot of different DePaul University partners as well as community partners. And we really try to provide a holistic education. We also provide support and resources for any individuals who want to establish and sustain long-term healthy behaviors. So today we're going to talk about motivation and gratitude. So we'll start off with talking a little bit about self-motivation and external motivation. Then we'll move on to a few ways to motivate yourself, and then go into a little bit of managing self-expectations. And then we'll finish it off by talking about gratitude by breaking it down into the science of gratitude, and then finally ways to practice gratitude.
So to start with motivation, motivation starts within sometimes. Self-motivation is the self-initiated drive to get things done. Self-motivation is important and works hand in hand with self-discipline. So in order to be self-motivated, you have to have some sort of self-discipline to get yourself started. Though in order to foster sustainable self-motivation, it's really important that external motivation isn't neglected. So that could be either people in your life who are motivating you or some external source of motivation, say maybe a job or a goal that you have. And that proper self-care and planning are implemented in order for you to stay sustainably self-motivated, in order to keep motivated once you get into it or start something new. It's important that you find a way to kind of balance that external motivation. So the motivation that you get from external resources with proper self-care and planning. So a couple ideals for ways to self-motivate, starting with affirmations and a vision, kind of starting with what do you want to happen? So that vision of what needs to get done, using that as a jumping off point is really important. And then once you have that vision, kind of being confident, starting maybe incorporating a couple affirmations into your self-motivation would be really helpful. So maybe affirming yourself that you can do this, or that it's the right time to start this, or whatever works for you is a really good way to start your self-motivation. So setting SMART goals. SMART is an acronym. So Natalie, would you mind helping me out with this one? For some reason, it completely slipped my mind.
Yeah. Let me see just a second. So SMART, the S stands for specific. So that's really making sure you know exactly what it is you want to do, as opposed to saying, I want to be a better runner. Maybe you say, I want to run a 5K. The M stands for measurable. So that's really how are you going to quantify how you're getting your goal met. So again, in the example of running, what does a better runner look like? Will your 5K time be under a certain amount of time, or will it be in between a certain amount of time? The next one is attainable. Just making sure that it's, realistic for you. You're not going into the running one again. If you've kind of just been, sitting either on the couch or in front of a screen all quarantine, to say, oh, I'm going to run a marathon in a week. That's, for most people, that's probably not attainable. And then relevant. Maybe it's, you want your goal to have to do with what you want to achieve in life. So maybe if you want a certain job, maybe part of your goal is to get a degree in something that would help you with gaining skills and knowledge for that job. And then finally, time-based. It's helpful to have, a time frame for when you want to get that done. Maybe you want to graduate in 4 years. Maybe you want to graduate in 5 years. So that's kind of just the basics of SMART goals.
Thank you. So setting SMART goals is a great way to self-motivating, having a plan, going back to that vision. If you break down your goals, you can kind of see where you want to go, and that could be a form of motivation to get you started. Tracking your progress is also a great way to self-motivate. If you started a goal and you've seen that you've gotten so far and you've like made it to a certain milestone, you can down to another one, celebrate that milestone and while you're tracking your progress, and use that as a little bit of a motivation booster to like continue on with your goal and continue on with the work that has gotten you so far as a way of self-motivating. And then a really important one is checking your mindset. You don't always have to be 100% like happy and always the best, but making sure that like in order to self-motivate, you're in a space where you understand what you want and you don't let like the external negatives get in the way. So I know one really big like barrier to self-motivating could be like expectations. So I personally understand that because there's been times where like you have such high expectations of yourself and you have so many like you want to get so much done, and it can get a little overwhelming and you don't want to really start. So that self-motivation already is like kind of preventative, or not preventative, but kind of hard to already deal with. So checking your mindset is really important. And then just remembering that the expectations that you create for yourself can only be accomplished if you take care of yourself and check your mindset, like we previously talked about. So like self-care is also a really important part of self-motivation, understanding when you've just hit a wall and you've done too much and taking that time to step back and really take care of yourself and find a self-care method that really fits for you, whether that be like a physical self-care or emotional self-care, financial self-care, or like religious self-care, spiritual self-care, just finding something like that. If you're in a block, you can find a little way to like take care of yourself and make sure that you're checking in with yourself and you're not pushing yourself too hard. Overwhelming yourself with so many expectations leads to an inability to foster sustainable motivation, self-motivation. The whole goal is to become self-motivated and be able to sustain that. And you aren't able to keep that momentum going if you're overwhelmed by all your expectations. So keeping it simple, taking it step by step, day by day, is a great way for you to maintain and sustain your self-motivation. And incorporating positive external motivation and a mindful self-motivation can really help to support that sustainable motivation. So incorporating those positive external motivators alongside your self-motivation. So maybe you have a support system or someone in your support system who can hop along with you and motivate you to like get your goal done. So you have yourself pushing yourself. That I don't know if that was grammatically correct. Anyway, you're pushing yourself to maintain and reach this goal, but you also have someone who really is there to support you and really wants to see you succeed, who's also giving you those little nudges to get motivated. And just mindful self-motivation. So being mindful of what your goal is and why it's your goal, and not comparing yourself or your goal to someone else or like someone else's progress or someone else's motivation is a really important way to be mindful of your mindset, and like implementing and supporting sustainable motivation.
Yeah, so let's move on just a little bit to the gratitude part of our presentation. So gratitude can be helpful for many reasons. There have been quite a few studies on gratitude, and it's been found or believed that gratitude can be helpful for physical health, mental health, and social health. Some of the key points is that it can help creating better sleep patterns. So, going to sleep maybe on time and having a good sleep cycle. It's also been seen to help strengthen the immune system. When it comes to social health, being grateful has been seen to help with fostering forgiveness in others. And along with that, it can help reduce feelings of loneliness. And then mental health is the big one. So it can help foster greater resilience to negativity. If you're being grateful for even the little things around you, it's a bit easier to stand up to that negativity. Along with that, it helps create more positive feelings like happiness. And then from there, it's also helpful with getting some more energy. So here's just a little bit of the background of the science of gratitude. So studies have shown that expressing gratitude can increase your feel-good neurotransmitters in the brain. So things such as dopamine and serotonin. And by expressing gratitude and those transmitters kind of increasing, those transmitters can help increase mood. And it's also shown that the more you practice gratitude, the easier it is, and the longer lasting of an effect that it has. This is because of an idea called neuroplasticity. So basically, the more you do something, the more your brain adapts to it. So if you make gratitude like a habit, for example, your brain will rewire itself to create these positive connections. And so the more you work at showing gratitude on a regular basis, the easier it will be to naturally feel that gratitude and as well feel those effects. So there are many ways that you could practice gratitude. These are just some of the most common ones that I know I've seen. The first one would be making a gratitude journal or just writing down things that you're grateful for, whether it's its own separate journal or a page in your planner or a page in your notebook. Just once you notice something that you're grateful for, write it down. I know what some people do is every day when they wake up, they write down one thing that they're grateful for, or before they go to bed, they write down one thing that they're grateful for. And this is also great because, if you're having a rough day or things just seem kind of hard, you can always go back and look at all the things that you're grateful for. Another thing you can do is you can send notes or letters to loved ones, just telling them how much you appreciate them. Everyone likes getting a nice little note or letter from someone. And so by showing how much you appreciate them, you're expressing that gratitude, but also kind of strengthening those social connections, which is super important in times like these. And then finally, take time to thank yourself for all that you do. Kind of like how we were talking about with, high expectations for ourselves. Oftentimes we don't take the time to really recognize what we're doing well, and what we're working hard at. And I know that we all do quite a lot for ourselves and for others. So even taking time to give yourself the grace to thank yourself for all that you do can be helpful in gratitude towards yourself. So with that, we hope that you enjoyed today's presentation. Here's our information for the Office of Health Promotion and Wellness. Feel free to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And always feel free to go to our website, www.godepaul.edu/HPW. And then we have a little evaluation survey. Feel free to take it. Just let us know how we did. And thank you guys so much for joining us.